Appreciate it. Thank you for having us. What a lovely setting here. Thank you very much. So my name is Lisa Lank, and I come to you guys probably from a very different perspective. Linda has so many great accomplishments and accolades. I actually am a beer salesman. So I sold beer for 27 years with Anheuser-Busch, and then for those of you that are from Canada, Mark Anthony brands, Mike's Hard Lemonade and White Claw. No, White Claw, pretty intimately, immersively. Had a great time doing that. And then from there, I actually started a consulting company, probably in like 2017, and started consulting with beverage companies. I did my last stint in beverage was with, for those of you from Northern California, the Maloof family. I did a startup with the Maloofs, and they used to own the Sacramento Kings, now own the Golden Knights. So I had an opportunity to spend some time with them and learn from them. Went in with consulting, and then COVID hit. And of course, like all of you, a lot of the business dried up during that time. And it was a great opportunity to really kind of reflect and kind of figure out really what I wanted to do, what my next chapter was. And so I decided 3 months before that, before COVID hit, I started getting into crypto and really listening to some YouTubers you guys might know, Brad Kimes, and then DAI, and then one of your own from Orlando. Who's our
Ray.
Not Ray.
No, Ray, who's the guy from Orlando?
Orlando. No, I'm not
The lawyer?
Who's that?
The lawyer? Jeremy?
No, he's real estate. He was in real estate beforehand. Yes, Nick. And so, but Jeremy, I definitely do listen to. He's great as well. So that's kind of my backstory. And so as I started during COVID getting more interested in the research as well as listening to some of the YouTubers, I realized that there were opportunities. We're early. There are a lot of opportunities out there. And from that, obviously, Link was one of the big companies that I learned about. Blockchain co-investors with Matthew and Allison. Work with them as well. But I also got involved in, what's going on with blockchain and where are we going? So I started really getting curious about two things. The first was gaming, and the second was decentralized finance. And certainly Web3, when we look at Web3, the decentralization, democratization really kind of intrigued me. Like, how is that going to happen? How do we go from Web 2 to Web 3, and how do I participate in something like that? So I decided to look into it, and like I said, I'm big on XRP. I'm a big Ripple person. That's how I actually got in Link 2, is I really wanted to get some Ripple shares. So I started looking at that, and all of a sudden there was a company called Gala Games, where Gala did some work with Flare. They're a partner with Flare, which was also a partner with Ripple. And started working with Gala and kind of getting involved in that. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that experience once I go through the gaming side of it. So gaming in 2021 was a $178 billion industry. Anybody want to take a guess in 2025 what it's going to be? More, yes, more. That's it. $268 billion in 2025. Almost $100 billion more. So there's a tremendous opportunity for all of us to kind of investigate that and see what opportunity and what mechanism you guys can play in gaming and where that goes. And when you think about it, you think about how are the masses going to come into blockchain and crypto? Well, I am of the belief that there will be a massive education through gaming. A massive education through gaming. I mean, think about it. So I have a gaming account, Gala Games. Now I've got to fund it. So I've got to now go through the process of going from bank to exchange. Hopefully that exchange has the gaming token, right? I learned that the hard way. That Coinbase didn't at the time have Gala, so I had to go through BitTrue. So, and learning that process of sending yourself money, that's all something that's going to happen with the masses, right? So as I looked at it, and then once you get your Gala coin, and you want to go and purchase an NFT, which I'll explain a little bit why you want to do that. Now you've got to go possibly to OpenSea, and now you've got to have a MetaMask account, so you can see the education and the incentives that are happening in gaming and how that all works, right? Does that make sense? Yeah? So there's a real opportunity, and as you look at it, gaming is going to be a big part of the education to the masses. So there are really three things that I'd like to cover with respect to gaming. And the first is, why is gaming going to be so big? Well, the first in my mind is community. Just like we're all part of a community, we're very diverse. We have common goals. It's relatable. It's a sense of belonging. And of course, the game's fun to play, and we all have something in common. So community, a sense of community is going to be big, especially in this environment. The second thing is ownership. And this is where Web3 really changes the game versus Web 2. So in Web 2, you really couldn't own your assets. In Web 3, you'll be able to own your assets. And so with that ability of ownership, it gives you more equality for players, right? So now everybody's got an equal amount of opportunity to go get that NFT, which is an asset in game. So the asset allows you to, if it's play to earn, it allows you to, that NFT asset, that smart contract, it's also a smart contract, allows you to earn money within that game, because now you own that asset. And that is the big aha moment for a lot of these players when they go and they see what the opportunity is in gaming. So that is another big thing with play to earn, and there's going to be greater distribution amongst the masses when it comes to gaming. So the other piece of that, so here's an example. So Steph Curry, which by the way, I know you plays for Golden State. What happened to the Phoenix Suns last night? They lost by 33 in Game 7 at Phoenix. How does that happen? Anybody have any ideas? My goodness. So, Steph Curry broke the three-point record this year. Anybody know what it was? How many three-pointers he's made in his career? I think it's like 29.47. I think that's what it was. Anyway, Under Armour did an NFT. They actually produced an NFT, and what they did was they basically said to Gala Games, Decentraland, Sandbox, hey, we're creating this NFT, can you incorporate it into your game? And they did. So what happened? There was so much demand for this NFT that came out in February. I tried to get one, couldn't get it. So the sports players are starting to understand how gaming is going to be such a big part of the ecoverse, right? So it's going to be pretty cool to see what happens. But that's an example of NFTs really creating some relationships and community within the gaming industry, which is pretty cool. So really, we're transitioning from the game store to the game economy. Does that make sense? So when you look at the game store, if you're a developer, you were just making skins and games and assets that would just be within the game. But now with interoperability and being able to go to different games, now all of a sudden it's a game economy because you own that asset. And it's more of a player-led asset versus a game asset. And that's where the equation changes. So for me, when I found out about Flair's partnership with Gala Games, I decided to look into it a little bit further. And I ended up, so Gala Games, what I did when I reviewed, okay, what do I want to be involved in this gaming company or not, I decided that I looked into who was behind Gala Games. Who are the owners and founders of Gala Games? And it was Eric Schiermeyer and a guy named Mike McCarthy, who, Eric was a successful entrepreneur with Zynga Games and had a great gaming company that I think he sold for like $12 billion last year, maybe. So he created this Gala Games, and so looking for the owners, looking for the founders. Have they been in the business before? What is their track record? Those are some of the big things that you have to look at from a gaming perspective. And then I looked at, okay, what games are they looking to put on their platform? Well, with Gala, not only are they a game platform, but they're also doing their own games. They're also going to be developing their own games, which is pretty intriguing. And the third thing that probably sold me the most about getting involved with Gala Games is they were trying to democratize the gaming industry. And this was going to be for gamers, owning nodes for gamers. So that was really cool to me. And I wanted to understand how they were going to do that. So I ended up buying what they call nodes, which is basically a smart contract or a license to be able to operate a server. So with gaming companies, you have to have a lot of computing power. So they operate a lot of servers. And usually those servers are all in one area in wherever it might be, in Fresno, California. But what they did here is they said, hey, you can if you have a node, you can operate it off your computer. Your computer can operate as a server, or you can do virtual servers. So that's what I have. I have virtual servers. I just do it virtually. And then every night, for that computing power that I offer them, I get Gala tokens every night airdropped to us. So that was intriguing, and it helped me understand a little bit more about how this economy, this gaming economy, is going to work in the future. And there are going to be plenty of opportunities for you guys if you want to research it and be curious enough in different gaming opportunities that you can take it as far as you want. But that's kind of my experience in terms of what I did. Just as an aside, the nodes have gotten to be, so what they did was you could get in at $2,000. They're now up to $96,000 to operate because Gala has gone up so high. But they are going to do a Gala music platform, which is really cool. That Snoop Dogg, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Snoop Dogg is doing a lot of stuff with Gala music now. And so it's really cool. I think, if you want to look at what's happening in the gaming space, I think Gala Games is probably a good opportunity to do that. And I'm not affiliated with them other than I'm a node operator. But they have a great opportunity to just take a look and see what is available so that when maybe the next gaming company comes and you might want to get involved, it might be a great opportunity to do that. Let's see if I have anything else on games. Real quick, decentralized finance, it's a quick topic, right? Decentralized finance, it's not for the faint at heart. It's a very difficult subject, pretty complex subject, but it does, especially now because cryptocurrency is fairly low in price, it does allow you to explore the ecosystem. So that in itself is pretty interesting because generally you have to have some sort of wallet. I have a MetaMask account. You get on different chains. I've done Harmony, I've done Phantom, I've done AVAX, I've done Solana. And just play with what they've got, whether it's staking or bonding, doing wrap staking. Those are all things that are really pretty cool to do, just to kind of understand, again, where that ecosystem is going. But you do want to take a look at, because it's decentralized finance, and again, it's basically disempowering the incumbents, okay? There's also risk involved. And so reading that white paper, making sure what's their burn rate, how are they doing distributions with marketing and their founders, how do they make money, what are the tokenomics of how they're doing their coin, all the utility, what utility does it play. All of those things are going to be really important as you decide what coin, what decentralized group you want to work with. The other thing that's really big within decentralized finance is GameFi. So gaming within finance, which is pretty cool if you wanted to look at DeFi Kingdoms or Carvana. Those are on the AVAX chain. Those are actually, AVAX seems to be, to me, AVAX seems to be a little bit ahead of the game with a lot of their developers in decentralized finance. So that's pretty cool. And just lastly, to wrap up, there are great opportunities out there for everybody in this room. It just takes a little time, takes a little reading, takes a little research, but we're early. So I would encourage you to educate yourself, get out there. Don't be afraid to swing and miss, but you could make that home run too. So thank you for having me, and appreciate all of your.
Thank you so much. Again, Lisa's going to be with us for 4 or 5 days, so tap into this knowledge. She makes it sound easy. She does. But that's because she put the work into it. Right? Now, all of you are right now Googling Gala games and trying to buy Gala games. What is this? That's following the herd. You're going to fall off the cliff. Right? It may not be right for you. Do your research. Find out what makes you tick. What are you curious about? What do you want to delve into? Anything you do is going to take work. And it's a lot of work, right? But, you know, that's what you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.